For a closer look at the employment numbers, that job report came out. Bobby Eberle is standing by. He's a Republican strategist and host of the 13-minute news hour. Bobby, good to see you. So economists said, hey, look, it's going to grow 860,000 jobs in July. The numbers came out, 943,000 jobs added. Your thoughts, positives, negatives, your thoughts?
A little bit of mixture. You know, I mean, the fact that close to 1 million people are back to work, I think is a great thing. We need more people back to work. The more people who are working, the less they're dependent on government. And we should have had programs in place a long time ago to get people back to work instead of keeping them at home. I'm anxious to hear Joe Biden's remarks because I guarantee he's going to say, 943,000 jobs created when they're actually jobs recovered. And that's the thing, is if government would get out of the way, if the left would stop pushing these programs to control people, we would have recovered a long time ago. This was a shutdown of an economy that was roaring along. We just need to get it back and let people do their thing.
Okay. All right, Bobby, please stand by. We want to welcome back in our other panelists for this hour. We have Jessie Jane Duff, Gunnery Sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps retired, also a Newsmax contributor joining us, as well as Ken Paxton, Texas Attorney General. Great to see everyone today. Now we've got everyone here with us. And Jessie Jane, this news, again, this positive jobs report probably comes at a good time for the Biden administration, considering there have been some unflattering headlines recently, whether it be the border crisis or also messaging surrounding the Delta variant. Is this finally a win for the president?
Well, it's almost as if it's like, but I stopped beating you, a former spouse to their spouse. I stopped beating you, so things are looking better. I just think that this is hysterical that they're trying to now take a victory lap when everything was set for them when they walked into that White House to do the right thing for this country. They could have kept the border wall going. They could have ensured that they had lifted a lot of these mandates against the states, ensured that we were getting back to work. But instead, they buckled down harder. They lifted up COVID. They ensured that all these illegals are able to cross the border. And what they've actually done is now they're trying to pivot to look like they're helping us recover when they've done everything but that in the first 6 months. I just find this to be very astonishing that the administration is trying to take credit for something that they should have been able to do starting day one.
At any moment now, President Biden is set to speak. I believe he was set to start almost 40 minutes ago. He's going to address the nation in regards to the Labor Department's report that 943,000 jobs were added, again, over the estimate of the 860,000 jobs that were expected. Attorney General Ken Paxton, as we await this, and we will bring it to you live, what do you think the president will say?
Well, I'm sure he's going to take credit for this. And look, these are better numbers. And I would bet if you drill down into those numbers, you'll find that a lot of the states that were less restrictive and opened up their states more quickly actually contributed more to the numbers than the states that didn't. And you'll find that most of those states are states like Texas and Florida. So, he's going to take credit. But the reality is I'd give credit to Ron DeSantis, Governor Abbott, and others who opened the states up more quickly than maybe California and New York and others. And if you look at their numbers, I'm guessing they're not going to be as good. Additionally, the president is talking about increasing taxes, which will negatively affect these numbers in the future. So he hasn't gotten a chance to implement some of the things that he's going to do to harm the economy. Those, I guess, are coming soon.
Yeah, the AG there pointing out, listing several states' governors, and I know we're going to take a deeper dive into the governors and their different handling of the coronavirus pandemic. But Bobby, when you think about Florida specifically, Governor Ron DeSantis there, he's kind of facing a war of words between the White House right now. Makes you wonder what the latest quip is going to be today if we get a comment from reporters asking questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ron DeSantis is the thorn in Joe Biden's side. And the thing is, you guys mentioned it earlier with the messaging. They have had such poor messaging on every single major issue. And Ron DeSantis, every time he says something, it's like gold coming out of his mouth compared to the Biden administration. And that has to have them frustrated because not only is he on the attack on the upper hand when he's talking about COVID or the border or the economy or critical race theory, you name it, he has an opinion and a position that the American people favor. Joe Biden and his team, they can't even get out a coherent response. So it has them scrambling. And DeSantis, I think whatever happens today, he'll come out ahead.
And we continue to follow the sexual harassment allegations against New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, with many Democrat officials, including the president, calling for his resignation, some even calling for impeachment. Joining us now to discuss, our panelists for the hour, Bobby Eberle, Jesse Jane Duff. The New York Post out this morning with a report saying that one of his accusers will file criminal complaints with the Albany Sheriff's Office. In the meantime, though, Cuomo has denied the sexual harassment allegations. New York Post also obtaining this photo of him lounging poolside with his secretary at the governor's executive mansion. That's making the rounds online. Again, many people wondering, when's he going to formally respond, Bobby, as we're hearing even the president of the United States, other top Democrats calling for his resignation, and potentially he could be impeached as well. Bobby Eberle, your thoughts on how this has played out?
Well, Emma, just a quick comment on that picture. I don't think that picture makes good optics for the news cycle today. I mean, him just chilling out there like nothing's wrong. This investigation revealed, I believe, 11 women over 7 years, sexual allegations against Governor Cuomo. I mean, the steam is building. The ball is rolling downhill to take him out. De Blasio's come out against him. We kind of expected that. Biden, he's stepped out against him. I think the writing is on the wall, and there's just really not much to do, because when you lose the support of your team, it's just a matter of time. But the brazen just disregard for the severity of what's going on should send a message to a lot of those Democrats in the Me Too movement who still remain quiet. That's one of the most frustrating things right now. I think he'll be gone, but I wish they'd speak out more.
Yeah, and we showed the number of top Democrats who are again calling for that resignation. Jesse Jane, do you see the governor, Andrew Cuomo, who's been rumored to really want that fourth term as New York governor? Do you see him stepping down?
Well, he may not step down, but I don't see him running again. He's really facing allegations that his party is rallying against him. My question would be, though, this has gone back as far as I had seen a 7. So, you know, if we're talking.
Okay. Little technical difficulty there. But we do have a soundbite from, again, one of Governor Cuomo's accuser, Charlotte Bennett, who responded to that strange and recorded videotape, which included a slideshow of Governor Cuomo embracing other people. Here's Charlotte Bennett. Let's listen, and then I'll get our panelists' reaction.
He's trying to justify himself by making me out to be someone who can't tell the difference between sexual harassment and mentorship. And I think that's absolutely absurd. We have a report, we have the facts. The governor broke federal and state law when he sexually harassed me and current and former staffers, and we have a responsibility to take the set of facts, and if he's not willing to step down, then we have a responsibility to act and impeach him.
Ken Paxton is also here with us, Attorney General of Texas. And Ken, we heard from New York's attorney, Letitia James, bring forward her own independent investigation. We didn't see charges, though, but she said that the governor, based on her investigation and her findings, that he broke state and federal laws when it comes to sexual harassment here. How do you see this plays out for the governor of New York?
Well, if the facts, as they just discussed, back up what these women are saying, I think he's got some severe problems, and I think it's going to be very difficult for him to stay in office if he did break federal and state law. And the attorney general is pretty convinced it sounds like that he did do that. I think he's got real problems, and that doesn't even go to the facts related to all the nursing home deaths that the Department of Justice, for some reason, just dropped. And that's a whole nother issue that I think could also be important down the road.
Yeah, you mentioned the nursing home deaths. Bobby, this governor, you have to be specific when you talk about scandal surrounding him, quite frankly. We've got sexual harassment, nursing home deaths. Yes. He won an Emmy Award. He wrote a book. He was prioritizing COVID tests for family and friends. I mean, this is really concerning, and makes you wonder why he would not, considering all of that, just remove himself from the situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing the way this year has gone. If you recall, just stepping back a year, he was being talked about as a possible replacement for Joe Biden. You know, that, hey, let's rally around Governor Cuomo for president because we don't really have confidence in Biden. And look at all the things, the COVID issue, the sexual harassment. And the thing with the sexual harassment allegations, you played that clip from Charlotte Bennett. You have Charlotte Bennett, you have Lindsey Boylan, very, very credible people speaking out. They're very well versed in dealing with the media, and it's just an avalanche against Governor Cuomo. He should not only run again, he should step down now and save the party some damage and not risk the next election. But I guess the arrogance, the elitism, it's just too much for someone like him. And he's just going on, as you saw poolside, like nothing's happening at all.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what develops with this story. And also, if you're tuning into CNN, it's not being covered during his brother's primetime hour, the story untouched in that programming. Bobby Eberle, Jesse Jane Duff, Ken Paxton, please stick around. A lot more coming up this hour.
Was it the pandemic of the unvaccinated quote that was repeated roughly 4 or 5 times, or was it something else?
You hit the nail right on the head. That, to me, is one of the most offensive lines that he can do, because what he's doing now is making an accusation against people that are not comfortable with this vaccine. And there's a large amount of data on why they are uncomfortable. And what about the minority communities that are largely unvaccinated? He's insulting them and trying to suggest now that they are the killers. They are the reason we have this problem still. I just don't think that's a positive messaging outlook. And instead of this government, this administration, educating the public, we have seen them waffle. We have seen Fauci still out there. I think he should no longer be the head person for this because of the mixed messaging they have sent. Mask on, mask off. And the minority communities are really being thrown under the bus, because when we look at what's going on now in New York with the vaccine passports, people will literally have to decide between keeping their job or ensuring that they stand by their convictions and not work if a vaccine passport is mandated. He's not addressing these very serious issues, and instead he's mudslinging the American people that aren't supporting this.
I'm glad you are focusing on a serious topic and takeaway from the speech. I'm already looking online. People are going off about the color suit that he's wearing, a tan suit. So let's not talk about it. That's the elephant in the room there. We know that's the case. But Bobby, what's interesting is what we heard that Jesse pointed out as well. We heard the president thanking those localities that have put in place those vaccine requirements. So obviously not taking it the step forward and mandating it, but he expressed that he was thankful for it.
Right, yeah, and I'm not going to mention the tan suit. I'm not going to mention that, but he did on at least two occasions say that there are 350 million people vaccinated in the U.S., which is higher than our population, and then he still repeated that. But here's the deal. Here's one of the things that's so offensive, is that the left is in a freak out about voter ID, saying that that is racist to require people to have an ID to vote, that it's going to affect the minority community even more. And yet, with the low vaccination rates in some minority communities, they're saying that you can't go to work unless you're vaccinated, and yet there's low vaccination rates in the minority community. How racist is that? That it's going to disproportionately affect the minority community, which is what they were saying about the elections. But when they want to push this vaccine mandate, it's quite all right. And then really quickly, this whole pandemic of the unvaccinated is absolutely insulting when you consider that he is letting people flood the southern border who are unvaccinated with a very, very high percentage of COVID positive and dispersing them into the country. He's not serious, and it is offensive that he said that.
Let's ask AG from Texas here. Ken Paxton, your thoughts?
Well, I agree with Bobby. This idea that the president is lecturing us on vaccines when he is allowing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to cross the border from up to 150 nations who might have all kinds of different strains of COVID. And they're not only being put on border states, but they're being transported to places we don't even know. And supposedly they're not vaccinated, and they're not even being tested. So if you're an American citizen and you want to come back into this country, you have to test negative for COVID. And yet this president who lectures Americans on being vaccinated and encourages businesses and governments to threaten people if they don't get their vaccine is really maybe the greatest super spreader in our nation, President Biden spreading it across the nation with illegals.
Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.